Alex Hayes stood at the construction site, his muscular frame tense as he watched the OSHA inspectors examining the mangled remains of the crane. The acrid smell of burnt metal hung in the air, a reminder of how close they'd come to disaster. His site foreman, Dante Martinez, sat on an overturned bucket nearby, his usually steady hands trembling as he filled out the incident report. "Mr. Hayes," Dante's voice cracked. "I keep seeing it happen over and over. If Joey hadn't shouted when he did." He trailed off, his dark eyes haunted. Alex placed a firm hand on Dante's shoulder. "We're going to make this right," he said, his voice carrying the weight of 15 years of leadership. "Every safety protocol will be reviewed and upgraded. I want you to take the rest of the week off, Dante. Paid leave." "But sir, that's not a request." Alex's tone left no room for argument. He'd built Hayes Construction from the ground up, and he'd be damned if he lost any of his people to faulty equipment. The insurance adjuster, a nervous man in an ill-fitting suit, approached with a clipboard. "Mr. Hayes, we'll need to discuss the liability implications." "Save it," Alex cut him off. "I want a full investigation into the manufacturer. This crane was inspected last month. Either someone falsified those reports, or there's a critical design flaw. Either way." He pulled out his phone. "My lawyers will be handling this." Hours passed in a blur of statements, photographs, and phone calls. By the time Alex finally headed home, the sun had set, and his shoulders ached from tension. He loosened his tie as he drove, his mind already planning the safety overhaul that would start tomorrow. The Hayes family home sat in Portland's historic district, its Victorian architecture a testament to Olivia's impeccable taste. Alex pulled into the driveway, noticing the perfectly manicured lawn and the fresh paint on the trim. Everything in its place, just as his wife demanded. He found Olivia in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless despite the late hour. "Rough day?" she asked, not looking up from the vegetables she was chopping. "Crane malfunction. Nearly lost 3 men." Alex grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. "Where are the kids?" "Sophia's at her study group, and Lucas is at basketball practice." Theodore offered to pick them up on his way back from showing properties. Alex's jaw tightened at the mention of Theodore Bennett, Olivia's colleague from the real estate firm. The man had been showing up at family events with increasing frequency over the past year, always perfectly polished in his expensive suits, always ready with that practiced smile. "I could have picked them up," Alex said, watching his wife's reaction carefully. "You were busy with the accident." Olivia's knife moved in steady, measured strokes. Theodore was already in the area. It just made sense. Alex headed upstairs to change, his construction boots heavy on the stairs. The master bedroom was immaculate, as always. He pulled off his dusty clothes, heading for the en-suite bathroom when he heard the distinct buzz of a phone. But his phone was on the bed, and Olivia's was in the kitchen. Following the sound led him to the laundry room. There, buried beneath a stack of freshly folded towels, was a smartphone he'd never seen before. The screen lit up with another message as he held it. "Everything's arranged. The beach house is perfect for the summer. Just like we planned." The sender was listed simply as T. Alex's hands, which had remained steady during the entire crane crisis, began to shake. 15 years of marriage. 2 children. Had it all been a carefully constructed lie? The phone buzzed again. This time, it was an image. Theodore and Olivia at what appeared to be a medical conference, their heads close together as they smiled at the camera. The timestamp showed it was from 5 years ago. "Alex?" Olivia's voice floated up from downstairs. "Dinner's almost ready." He slipped the phone into his pocket, his mind racing. The construction business had taught him one crucial lesson. Never confront without proper preparation. He needed more information, more evidence. "Coming," he called back, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. During dinner, he watched his wife with new eyes. Gesture, words seemed calculated now. When had the performance begun? Had anything in their marriage been real? Theodore mentioned the new development project in the Pearl District, Olivia said, refilling her wine glass. "He thinks Hayes Construction should bid on it." "Did he?" Alex's fork clinked against his plate. "Interesting that he'd discuss my business with you before bringing it to me." A flicker of something, Anxiety crossed Olivia's face before her perfect mask slipped back into place. He just knows how much the company means to you, dear. Later that night, Alex lay awake, listening to Olivia's steady breathing beside him. The hidden phone felt like it was burning a hole in his desk drawer, where he'd stashed it after dinner. He'd need to act carefully, strategically. If his suspicions were correct, this went beyond a simple affair. The next morning, he left for work earlier than usual, but instead of heading to the construction site, he parked a block away from his daughter's high school. Something had been nagging at him about Sophia's recent behavior, her sudden interest in designer clothes, her vague answers about study groups, the way she'd started calling Theodore Uncle Theo. His patience was rewarded when he saw her slip out of the side entrance 20 minutes after classes began. She walked quickly, checking over her shoulder, before heading toward the mall. Alex followed at a distance, his contractor's truck anonymous among the morning traffic. A police cruiser pulled up beside him at a red light. The window rolled down, revealing Rachel Winter's familiar face. Little early for a site inspection, isn't it, Alex? He'd known Rachel since high school, back when she dreamed of becoming a detective. Now, as a veteran officer, she had an uncanny ability to read people. Just checking on some supplies, he lied, knowing she'd see right through it. Rachel's expression turned serious. Your daughter's been skipping a lot lately. I've seen her at the mall with an older man. Dark hair, expensive suit. She calls him Uncle Theo. Alex's hands tightened on the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. How often? At least once a week for the past month. Rachel hesitated. Alex, something's not right here. The way he looks at her. I know. Alex's voice was deadly quiet. I need a favor, Rachel. Can you get me his full name? Theodore Bennett. I need everything you can find. Rachel nodded slowly. Give me a few days. And Alex? Be careful. Men like that, they usually have powerful friends. The light turned green, and Alex pulled away, his mind racing. He'd built his company on the principle of protecting his people. Now, it seemed, he'd failed to protect his own family. His phone rang. Dante Martinez. Mr. Hayes, Dante's voice was urgent. My wife Amanda, she works at Portland General. She says she needs to talk to you. Something about Dr. Bennett. She says it's important. Dr. Bennett? Alex pulled over, his heart pounding. Theodore Bennett was a doctor? I don't know the details, but Amanda's pretty shaken up. She wants to meet somewhere private. Alex checked his watch. Sophia would be at the mall for at least another hour. Tell Amanda to meet me at Joe's Diner in 20 minutes. And Dante? Don't mention this to anyone. The diner was nearly empty when Alex arrived. Amanda Martinez sat in a corner booth, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled from a long shift, her hands wrapped around a coffee cup, knuckles white with tension. Thank you for coming, Mr. Hayes, she said as he slid into the seat across from her. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you this for weeks. Tell me what? I used to work at the fertility clinic with Dr. Bennett. Amanda's voice dropped to a whisper. Before he switched to real estate. He wasn't just careless with safety protocols there either. Before she could continue, the diner's bell chimed. Theodore Bennett stood in the doorway, immaculate in his charcoal suit. His eyes locked onto their booth, and Amanda's face drained of color. I should go, she stammered, gathering her purse. I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. I can't. Alex watched her hurry past Theodore, who smiled pleasantly but made no move to follow her. Instead, he approached Alex's booth. What a coincidence, Theodore said, sliding into Amanda's vacated seat. I was just thinking about calling you. That Pearl District project. Save it. Alex's voice could have frozen hell itself. Why are you meeting my daughter at the mall? Theodore's smile didn't waver. Sophia mentioned wanting to look at colleges. As someone who served on several alumni boards, I thought I could offer some guidance. Olivia agreed it was a good idea. Stay away from my daughter. Alex, Theodore leaned forward, his voice dropping to a confidential tone. I understand you're protective, but Sophia's growing up. She needs positive role models in her life. People who can open doors for her future. The only thing you're going to open, Alex stood, towering over the table, is a world of pain if you go near my family again. Theodore's smile finally slipped, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. Careful, Alex. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Think about what that might mean for your family. He stood smoothly, adjusting his tie. Give my best to Olivia. We have a property viewing scheduled for tomorrow. Alex watched him leave, every muscle in his body screaming to follow, to confront, to destroy. But he forced himself to sit back down, to think strategically. He pulled out his phone and dialed his brother's number. Michael, I need everything you can find on Theodore Bennett, former doctor, now in real estate. And Michael, I need you to check something else. Pull the records from when Olivia and I did IVF. I want to know every doctor who was involved in that process. The pieces were starting to fall into place, forming a picture that made his blood run cold. But Alex Hayes hadn't built an empire by acting on impulse. He would gather his evidence, build his case, and when he struck, it would be with the force of a wrecking ball. Let Theodore and Olivia play their games. They had no idea what was coming. Chapter 2. First Cracks. Alex's weekly daddy-daughter ice cream tradition had started when Sophia was 5. Now, at 14, she still lit up when they pulled into Swenson's parking lot, though her taste had graduated from bubblegum to sophisticated flavors like lavender honey. 2 scoops of lavender honey in a waffle cone, Alex ordered, watching his daughter fidget with her designer handbag, a recent gift he hadn't purchased. And rum raisin for me. They sat at their usual corner table, the one with the view of the park. Sophia picked at her ice cream, uncharacteristically quiet. Everything okay at school? Alex asked, noting the dark circles under her eyes, carefully concealed with makeup that seemed too sophisticated for her age. Yeah, just busy with study group. She paused, then added hesitantly, Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Why does Mom's friend Mr. Theodore have photos of us as babies in his wallet? The question tumbled out in a rush. He showed them to me at the school fundraiser. There's one of me in the hospital, right after I was born. Alex's hand tightened on his spoon, but his voice remained steady. When did you see these photos? Last week. He said he's known Mom forever, since before I was born. Sophia's brow furrowed. But Mom always said they met at the real estate firm 3 years ago. Did he say anything else about the photos? Just that he was there the day I was born. That he's always looked out for us. She glanced up. Dad, why are you making that face? Alex forced his features to relax. What face? The one you make when someone messes up the construction specs. She attempted a smile. Is everything okay with you and Mom? You've been acting weird lately. Everything's fine, sweetheart. The lie tasted bitter. Tell me more about these study sessions with Uncle Theo. Sophia's cheeks flushed. They're not. I mean, he just helps sometimes. With college prep stuff. During school hours? Her eyes widened. How did you? I'm your father, Sophia. It's my job to know when something's wrong. He leaned forward. Has he ever made you feel uncomfortable? Said or done anything inappropriate? No. He's nice. He listens. And he knows everything about the best colleges. She stabbed her ice cream. Mom says you wouldn't understand because you never went to college. The word stung, but Alex kept his expression neutral. Your mother said that? Sophia nodded, then looked guilty. I wasn't supposed to tell you. What else aren't you supposed to tell me? But Sophia had clammed up, suddenly very interested in her melting ice cream. Alex recognized the signs. She'd said more than she'd been instructed to, and now the programming was kicking in. That night, after the children were asleep, Alex sat in his home office, surrounded by financial records and email printouts. His brother Michael had taught him enough about digital forensics to make a start, and what he'd found made his stomach turn. Emails between Olivia and Theodore, dating back 15 years. They'd used elaborate codes, discussing property viewings and closing deals, but patterns emerged. Mentions of special deliveries around the times both children were conceived. References to long-term investments maturing. A knock at the door made him minimize the screen. Come in. Lucas, his 12-year-old son, stood in the doorway in Batman pajamas. Dad? I had a bad dream. Alex pushed away from the desk. Want to talk about it? Lucas shuffled in, looking smaller than his age. I dreamed you were gone. Mom said you weren't coming back, and we had to live with Uncle Theo instead. He looked up, eyes bright with tears. You won't leave us, right? Alex pulled his son into a fierce hug. Never. No matter what happens, I will always be your father. Promise? I promise. Alex's voice was steel. Nothing and no one will ever change that. After Lucas went back to bed, Alex returned to his investigation with renewed determination. He copied key emails to an encrypted drive, then started on Olivia's banking records. Multiple transfers to offshore accounts, all just under the reporting threshold. Property deals that didn't quite add up. His phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Found something. Meet me at the office. Now. The PI office was dark when Alex arrived, save for the glow of Michael's computer screens. His brother's face looked grim in the blue light. What did you find? Michael ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I've been sitting on something for 15 years, Alex. Something I should have told you back when you first asked me to look into Theodore Bennett. When he started working with Olivia, Alex's voice was dangerous. You told me he was clean. I lied. Michael pulled up a series of documents. Theodore isn't just a real estate agent. He's a former fertility doctor. He worked at the clinic where you and Olivia went for IVF. Alex's world tilted. What? It gets worse. Michael opened another file. He lost his medical license in California for ethical violations, but the records were sealed. He moved to Oregon, reinvented himself in real estate. But I found a pattern, Alex. Multiple families, multiple clinics. What kind of pattern? Couples with fertility issues, successful IVF treatments, and then, years later, the wives leave their husbands for their real estate agent. Michael met his brother's eyes. The same real estate agent. Alex's fist slammed into the desk, sending papers flying. How many families? I've confirmed 3, including yours. But there could be more. Michael hesitated. Alex, there's something else. The timing of Olivia's first contact with Theodore. It matches exactly with when you started IVF treatments. She knew. Alex's voice was arctic. She's known since the beginning. What are you going to do? Alex stood. His face hardened into a mask of controlled fury. First, I'm going to protect my children. Then I'm going to destroy them both. Alex. They've been playing the long game, Michael. 15 years of lies. Setting up offshore accounts. Manipulating my children. Planning to take everything I've built. He moved to the window, staring out at the city lights. But they made one mistake. What's that? They thought I was just a contractor who got lucky. A man who builds things. Alex turned, and Michael almost flinched at the cold calculation in his brother's eyes. They forgot that before you can build something new, you have to tear down what's rotten. Chapter 3, Blood Ties. 3 days after the crane accident, Portland General Hospital's cafeteria buzzed with the quiet energy of the lunch rush. Alex sat with James Cooper, one of his injured workers, reviewing the compensation package Hayes Construction was offering. Mr. Hayes, this is too much, James protested, looking at the figures. The accident wasn't your fault. My site, my responsibility. Alex's tone brooked no argument. You focus on healing. Your job will be waiting when you're ready. Movement at the cafeteria entrance caught his eye. Amanda Martinez, still in her nurse's scrubs, hovering uncertainly. When she saw Alex, she hurried over. Mr. Hayes, she whispered, glancing nervously around. There's something you need to know. About the fertility clinic. About Dr. Bennett. Alex turned to James. Take these papers home. Review them with your wife. Call me if you need anything. Once the worker had left, he focused on Amanda. Tell me everything. I used to work at the fertility clinic with Dr. Bennett. Amanda's hands twisted her ID lanyard. He wasn't just careless with safety protocols there either. There were irregularities, missing records, late-night appointments that never made it into the system. What kind of irregularities? Sample handling procedures that didn't follow protocol. Files that disappeared when patients complained about. She stopped abruptly, her face draining of color. Alex didn't need to turn around to know why. He could feel Theodore's presence, smell his expensive cologne. Amanda. Theodore's voice was silk over steel. How lovely to see you. How's little Maria doing? Still hoping to attend that private school? Amanda stood so quickly her chair scraped loudly against the floor. I have to go. I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. I can't. She practically ran from the cafeteria. Theodore slid into her vacated seat. Hospital cafeteria food. Makes me nostalgic for my medical days. Drop the act. Alex's voice was deadly quiet. I know about the fertility clinic. Do you? Theodore's smile never wavered. And what exactly do you think you know? Enough to destroy you. Careful, Alex. You're playing a game you don't understand. Theodore leaned forward. Ask yourself why Olivia chose me. Why she's been choosing me for 15 years. Alex's hand shot out, grabbing Theodore's tie and pulling him close. Touch my children again, and they won't find enough of you to bury. Your children? Theodore laughed softly. Are you sure about that? Before Alex could respond, his phone buzzed. A text from Michael. My office. Now, DNA results. Alex released Theodore's tie with a shove. This isn't over. Oh, but it is. Theodore straightened his tie. You just don't know it yet. The drive to Michael's office passed in a blur of rage and fear. The implications of Theodore's words, the DNA results waiting at Michael's office. It was all coming to a head. Michael's office was dark, lit only by the glow of multiple monitors. His brother looked like he hadn't slept in days. I've been sitting on something for 15 years, Michael said without preamble. Remember when you asked me to look into Theodore Bennett back when he first started working with Olivia? You told me he was clean. Alex's voice was dangerous. I lied. Michael pulled out a thick folder. Theodore isn't just a real estate agent. He's a former fertility doctor. He worked at the clinic where you and Olivia went for IVF. Show me everything. For the next 2 hours, they pored over medical records, legal documents, and surveillance reports. A pattern emerged. Theodore had moved from clinic to clinic, leaving a trail of destroyed families and suspicious records. He had a system, Michael explained. He'd identify vulnerable couples, manipulate the IVF process, then spend years cultivating relationships with the wives. By the time the husbands realized something was wrong, the children were already calling him Uncle Theo. Alex finished, his voice hollow. Alex. Michael hesitated. The DNA results. Show me. The printout was clinical, scientific, but its implications were earth-shattering. Theodore Bennett's DNA matched both Sophia and Lucas. Does Olivia know? Michael nodded grimly. Found emails. She's known since before the children were born. She was part of it from the beginning. Alex stood, moving to the window. The city sprawled below, lights twinkling like stars. Somewhere out there, his children were sleeping, unaware that their entire world was built on lies. I want everything, he said finally. Family he's destroyed. Deal they've made. Penny they've hidden. What are you going to do? Alex turned, and Michael saw something terrifying in his brother's eyes. Not just anger, calculation. The look of a man who had built an empire from nothing, who knew how to tear down foundations to rebuild something stronger. First, we protect the children. Then we burn their world to the ground. They'll fight back, Michael warned. They've had 15 years to prepare. Let them try. Alex's voice was steel. They think they know what I'm capable of? They have no idea. As he drove home that night, Alex's mind raced with plans. Theodore and Olivia had spent 15 years weaving their web of lies. Now it was time to show them what happened when they tangled with someone who knew how to demolish things properly. The game was changing, and Alex Hayes played to win. Chapter 1. Calculated Moves. The Seattle apartment building had seen better days. Alex Hayes stood before apartment 412, his knuckles white around the folder containing Theodore Bennett's medical history. Behind this door lived the one person who might understand the full scope of Theodore's betrayal. Patricia Bennett opened on the third knock. Cancer had ravaged her body, but her eyes remained sharp, intelligent. She studied Alex with the practiced gaze of a medical professional. You're one of his victims, she said. Not a question. May I come in? Patricia's apartment was sparse but meticulously organized. Medical texts lined the shelves, and a hospital bed occupied one corner of the living room. She lowered herself carefully into an armchair. I've been waiting for someone like you, she said, gesturing for Alex to sit. How many children? 2. Alex's voice was tight. Sophia and Lucas. And your wife knew? Again, not a question. They always know, Mr. Hayes. That's what makes it so devastating. Theodore doesn't just steal genetics. He seduces them into becoming accomplices. You worked with him. As his nurse, yes. And his wife. She laughed bitterly. I thought I could change him, save him from himself. Instead, I lost everything. She reached for a drawer beside her chair. When I threatened to expose him, he didn't just divorce me. He systematically destroyed my life. Alex leaned forward. Tell me everything. Theodore perfected his technique over years. He'd identify couples struggling with fertility, successful husband, ambitious wife. During the IVF process, he'd substitute his own genetic material. Then he'd wait, cultivating relationships with the wives, showing up at their children's events, becoming the understanding friend while planting seeds of doubt about their husbands. How many families? I documented 17 cases before he caught me. Patricia's hands shook as she retrieved a USB drive. He claimed I was mentally unstable, fabricating evidence. By the time he finished, no hospital would hire me. My medical license was revoked. My own family believed I was delusional. She pressed the drive into Alex's hand. Everything I managed to save is here. Medical records, correspondence, patterns of behavior. Protect those children, Mr. Hayes. Don't let him destroy more families. You could have mailed this. No. Patricia's eyes locked onto his. I needed to see your face. To know you understand what you're dealing with. Theodore isn't just a fertility doctor who crossed ethical lines. He's a predator who builds families just to destroy them. It's not enough to expose him. You need to dismantle his entire operation. Alex studied the dying woman before him. Why help me now? Because I'm out of time. She gestured to the medical equipment surrounding her. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I've got weeks, maybe months. And because you're different from the others who've come looking for answers. How so? You're not here for revenge. You're here to protect your children. She smiled faintly. The others wanted to destroy Theodore. But you're building something. I can see it in your eyes. Alex stood, tucking the drive into his pocket. I'm going to need a team. Start with Carmen Rodriguez, Patricia said. She's been trying to build a case against Theodore for years, but the statute of limitations keeps tripping her up. And find Dr. Victoria Chase at Portland Memorial. She's been documenting irregularities in fertility procedures across 3 states. You've been keeping tabs. Someone had to. Patricia's voice was fading. Mr. Hayes? When you bring him down, make it complete. Don't leave any foundation for him to rebuild on. Back in Portland, Alex made 2 calls. The first was to Carmen Rodriguez, a prosecutor whose dream house he built at cost 3 years ago. The second was to Dr. Victoria Chase. They met in Michael's office, away from prying eyes. Carmen arrived first, her legal briefcase bulging with files. Dr. Chase followed, bringing decades of medical expertise and a burning desire for justice. This isn't just about infidelity, Carmen stated, spreading documents across Michael's desk. We're looking at medical fraud, psychological abuse, and systematic manipulation of multiple families. The statute of limitations on the medical procedures may have expired, but the ongoing conspiracy? That's current. Dr. Chase nodded grimly. I've been tracking similar cases for years. The pattern is distinctive. Successful IVF procedures followed by families disintegrating 5 to 10 years later. But proving it has been impossible. The records always disappear. Not this time. Alex placed Patricia's USB drive on the desk. We have evidence. And we have something else. Olivia's cooperation, whether she knows it or not. Michael raised an eyebrow. She's still using the secret phone? Every night. Alex's smile was predatory. Recording everything. She thinks she's orchestrating her escape. Instead, she's documenting the conspiracy. Carmen leaned forward. We need more than just recordings. We need financial records, proof of ongoing fraud. Theodore's too smart to leave a paper trail linking him to the fertility scam. That's where the real estate angle comes in. Michael interjected. I've been following the money. Theodore's empire isn't built on just commission. He's running sophisticated fraud schemes through his property deals. Dr. Chase frowned. How does that help the fertility victims? Because, Alex explained, he's using the same accounts to pay off families who discovered the truth. Olivia's been helping him identify potential victims through her real estate work. Transaction, payoff, threat. It's all connected. Carmen's eyes lit up with professional interest. A continuing criminal enterprise. That opens up RICO possibilities. We could go after everything. Properties, accounts, even his legitimate businesses. How long to build the case? Alex asked. 6 months, minimum. We need ironclad evidence. One mistake and Theodore's lawyers will bury us. You have 3 months. Alex's tone brooked no argument. He's planning something with my children. I won't wait longer than that. Dr. Chase touched his arm gently. Your children will need support through this. Professional help. Finding out their biological father it's traumatic enough. But learning about the manipulation, the planned separation? I know a specialist, Carmen offered. She works with children of narcissistic abuse. Very discreet. Alex shook his head. First we gather evidence. Then we move against Theodore and Olivia simultaneously. Only then do we tell the children. They'll hate you for keeping this from them, Dr. Chase warned. Better they hate me for protecting them than love me for failing them. Alex stood, his decision made. Carmen, start building the legal framework. Dr. Chase, I need a complete medical history of Theodore's time as a fertility specialist. Michael, dig deeper into the real estate fraud. 3 months from today, we end this. As his team dispersed, Alex remained in Michael's office, staring at the evidence of Theodore's crimes. The man had spent 15 years building his empire on stolen genetics and broken families. Now Alex would show him what a real builder could do. Tear it all down to the foundation and make sure nothing remained to rebuild upon. Chapter 2. Hidden Wounds. The knock on Alex's office door came just after lunch. He'd been reviewing construction bids, trying to maintain normalcy while his team built their case against Theodore. When he looked up, Madeline stood in the doorway, her usual rebellious confidence replaced by nervous energy. Olivia's younger sister had always been the black sheep of their perfect family. Where Olivia wore designer suits and carefully maintained highlights, Madeline's dark hair was cut in an asymmetrical style, her arms covered in colorful tattoos. She'd never fit the family's country club image, which made her presence here all the more intriguing. We need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Alex gestured to the chair across from his desk. I've been carrying this guilt for years. Madeline sank into the chair, clutching her messenger bag like a shield. I saw something 5 years ago at a medical conference in Boston. I convinced myself I was imagining things because it was easier than facing the truth. What did you see? Olivia and Theodore. They were in the hotel bar, talking about the kids. She swallowed hard. About their real family. I heard Theodore say something about waiting for the right moment, about how everything was proceeding according to their timeline. Alex's expression remained neutral, but his fingers tightened on his pen. Why come forward now? Madeline reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of letters, held together with a faded ribbon. I found these in Mom's attic last week. I was helping her clear out some old boxes and she placed the bundle on his desk. Mom knew everything, Alex. She helped them hide it because she was more concerned about the family's reputation than the truth. Alex opened the first letter. The paper was expensive, the handwriting elegant, dated 15 years ago, just before Sophia's birth. My dearest love, it began. Everything is proceeding perfectly. The procedure was successful, and soon our child will have the perfect cover story. Alex suspects nothing. His gratitude at the successful IVF treatment is almost painful to witness. There are dozens more, Madeline said quietly. Mom kept them all. She thought she was protecting Olivia's happiness. She never considered what it would do to you, to the children. When did your mother find out? Before Sophia was born. She caught Olivia and Theodore together at some charity event. But instead of exposing them, she helped create alibis. Arranged their meetings under the guise of family functions. Madeline's voice cracked. She's still doing it. Every time Theodore shows up at a family event, it's because Mom orchestrated it. Alex sorted through the letters, his face a mask of controlled fury. The correspondence painted a clear picture. Years of calculated deception, with Olivia's family actively participating in the fraud. There's more, Madeline continued. Theodore's done this before. Multiple clinics, multiple families. Some never discovered the truth, but others. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through saved articles. Missing medical records, mysterious fires at fertility clinics, families suddenly moving across the country after receiving large inheritances from unknown sources. How long have you been investigating? Since Boston. I couldn't prove anything concrete, but I started noticing patterns. Olivia's real estate clients, the ones who suddenly needed to sell their homes and move away, they all had something in common. All had fertility treatments at clinics where Theodore worked. A knock interrupted them. Lucas stood in the doorway, beaming. Dad, look what Uncle Theo got me. He held up the latest gaming console, still in its box. He said it's an early birthday present. Alex felt Madeline tense beside him. That's quite a gift, son, he managed, keeping his voice steady. Where's your sister? Shopping with Mom and Uncle Theo. They're getting her new clothes for the summer trip. Lucas's excitement was palpable. Mom says we're going to spend 2 weeks at his beach house. Just us, like a real family. After Lucas bounded away, Madeline reached for Alex's hand. I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner. No. Alex's voice was ice. You're saying it now. And now I need you to do something else. Keep collecting evidence. Family gathering, coincidental meeting, gift. Document everything. What are you going to do? Protect my children. Alex stood, his height imposing in the confined office. Theodore thinks he's building his perfect family? I'm going to show him what happens when you try to steal from a man who demolishes things for a living. Later that evening, Alex sat in his home office, reviewing security footage from his children's school. Theodore's black Mercedes appeared with increasing frequency, picking up Sophia for college prep meetings, bringing Lucas expensive gifts, always when Alex was supposedly busy with work. A text from Carmen lit up his phone. Found something. 3 more families in Portland alone. Same pattern. Need to meet. The next morning's strategy session revealed the full scope of Theodore's operation. Carmen spread photographs across Alex's desk, families torn apart, children caught in the middle, all connected by Theodore's fertility fraud. Some families never discovered the truth, Carmen explained. Others, like Olivia, became willing participants. But the pattern is always the same. Theodore maintains control through a combination of psychological manipulation and financial pressure. Dr. Chase nodded grimly. The medical records show clear evidence of tampering. Dates changed, procedures modified. He was careful, but not careful enough. There's a clear pattern of genetic material being substituted during critical procedures. What about the gifts? Alex asked. The beach house plans? Classic grooming behavior, Carmen replied. He's accelerating his timeline. The expensive presents, the family outings. He's preparing your children for the separation, making himself the preferred parent before the truth comes out. Michael entered with a stack of financial records. Found his pattern. He uses the real estate business to launder payments to families who discover the truth. Olivia helps identify potential victims through her client list, then they approach together. The wife gets the truth about her children's paternity, then a choice. Join them or face destruction. How many chose destruction? 3 that we know of. All lost everything. Homes, careers, custody. Theodore's lawyers buried them in litigation until they gave up. Alex studied the evidence before him. 15 years of calculated betrayal, dozens of families destroyed, and his own children being gradually programmed to accept their role in Theodore's grand plan. We move faster, he decided. No more waiting. Carmen, start preparing the legal documentation. Michael, get me everything on the real estate fraud. Dr. Chase, I want a complete medical history of every family affected. What about the children? Dr. Chase asked gently. They need to be prepared for what's coming. They need to be protected, Alex corrected. Theodore's been playing the long game, building their trust while undermining mine. Now we show him what happens when someone builds on a rotten foundation. Chapter 3, Breaking Point. Lucas's 12th birthday party should have been a celebration. Alex had arranged everything perfectly, the gaming tournament his son wanted, the exact cake he'd requested, even the specialized gaming chair he'd been hinting about for months. Then Theodore arrived, uninvited, carrying a massive box wrapped in expensive paper. Uncle Theo. Lucas's face lit up as Theodore set down what was clearly a complete professional gaming setup. Computer, monitors, and accessories worth thousands. Alex watched his son's excitement, noting how Olivia positioned herself between them, her hand possessive on Theodore's arm. The other parents at the party whispered among themselves, impressed by the extravagant gift. Lucas, Alex called, keeping his voice level. Why don't you show your friends your new gaming chair? The one we set up in your room? But Lucas barely glanced at him, too busy tearing into Theodore's present. This is amazing. Mom, can Uncle Theo help me set it up? He knows all about gaming computers. Of course, sweetheart. Olivia's smile was triumphant. Theodore's very good with technology. Unlike some people. The dig was deliberate, designed to emphasize the difference between the sophisticated Theodore and the simple contractor who'd raised Lucas. Alex felt his hands curl into fists. Mr. Hayes. Theodore approached, his designer's suit immaculate, his smile practiced. I hope you don't mind. When Olivia mentioned Lucas's interest in gaming, I couldn't resist. Children need proper tools to develop their talents. Before Alex could respond, Olivia grabbed his arm. Kitchen. Now. Her nails dug into his sleeve as she dragged him away from the party. The kitchen door hadn't fully closed before she turned on him, her mask of perfection cracking to reveal the calculating woman beneath. You need to stop fighting this, she hissed. Theodore loves them because they're his. He has rights. We've been patient, giving you time to accept reality, but soon everyone will know the truth. Rights? Alex's voice was deadly quiet. You want to talk about rights? He's their father. He's a fraud who violated his medical oath. And you're his willing accomplice. Olivia's laugh was cold. Accomplice? I'm his partner. Everything we've done has been planned, calculated. Those children were never meant to be yours. You were just convenient. A successful contractor who could provide the perfect cover story while we built our real family. How many others, Olivia? How many families have you helped him destroy? Destroy. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. We gave those women what they really wanted. Successful, intelligent children with the right genetic background. The husbands? They were just donors of a different kind. Financial support until the right moment. And now you think it's the right moment? Look at them, Alex. Look how they respond to Theodore. Natural attraction, blood calling to blood. In 6 months, they won't even remember calling you father. Alex's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist as she turned to leave. You really think I'll let you take my children? Let me? Olivia's smile was vicious. Oh, darling, you don't have a choice. We have the genetics, the money, the influence. By the time our lawyers finish with you, you'll be lucky if they let you have supervised visits. She pulled away, straightening her designer dress. Now, I'm going back to our son's party. Our real son, with his real father. You can stay here and rage about it, or you can accept reality and try to maintain some relationship with them after the truth comes out. What Olivia couldn't know, was that Alex had been recording everything. Conversation, threat, manipulation. The phone in his pocket had captured word of her admission, and she had no idea about the other evidence. The offshore accounts he'd discovered. The pattern of real estate fraud that connected Theodore's current empire to his past victims. The complete documentation of their 15-year conspiracy. Let them play their games with expensive gifts and secret meetings. Let them think they held all the cards. Alex Hayes hadn't built his construction empire by playing fair. He'd built it by understanding that sometimes the only way to create something new was to demolish what was rotten. He pulled out his phone and sent a group text to his team. Time to move. Complete demolition protocol. The response was immediate. Carmen, legal documents ready. Michael, financial evidence secured. Dr. Chase, medical records compiled. Alex pocketed his phone and returned to the party, watching Theodore holding court among the children, Olivia at his side. They thought they were so clever, so superior with their long-term plans and careful manipulation. They had no idea what was coming. Chapter 1. The Strike. Alex Hayes stood in his office at 4 a.m., surrounded by his assembled team. The evidence they'd gathered over 3 months covered every surface: medical records, financial statements, surveillance photos, recorded conversations. Each piece a weapon, carefully prepared for maximum impact. The journalists get their packages in 1 hour, Carmen Rodriguez said, checking her watch. Theodore's fertility fraud hits every major newspaper in Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco simultaneously. Dr. Victoria Chase nodded. My colleagues at the medical board are standing by. Once the story breaks, they'll launch an immediate investigation into every clinic where Theodore worked. Michael uploaded the final set of financial records to a secure server. FBI's white-collar division has everything they need: wire fraud, money laundering, insider trading, all connected to the fertility scam payoffs. Alex studied the surveillance feed from his home. Olivia moved through their bedroom, packing suitcases while speaking urgently on her secret phone. She'd taken the bait, the false tip about federal agents planning to interview her the next day. She'll make her move this morning, he said. Theodore's beach house is her only escape route. The children? Still asleep, Michael confirmed. I've got people watching every exit. She's not getting near them. Carmen spread out the legal documents. The moment she attempts to flee with the children, we have grounds for emergency custody orders. Judge Crawford is waiting for my call. The other families? Dr. Chase pulled up a spreadsheet. 17 confirmed cases across 3 states. Once the story breaks, more will come forward. The support network is ready. Counselors, legal aid, everything they'll need. Alex checked his watch. Places, everyone. Remember, timing is everything. Theodore and Olivia think they're executing their endgame. Let's show them what a real endgame looks like. The team dispersed, leaving Alex alone with Michael. You sure about this? Michael asked. Once we start, there's no going back. The kids will know everything. They deserve the truth, Alex said. And Theodore deserves what's coming. The first headline broke at 6 a.m. Fertility doctor's secret children. Years of medical fraud exposed. By 6:30, Theodore's phone was ringing nonstop. His carefully crafted reputation imploded as journalists connected his past medical license revocation to his current real estate empire. At 7 a.m., Olivia made her move. Security cameras showed her rushing into the children's rooms, urgently whispering about a surprise trip to the beach house. But when she reached the garage, federal agents were waiting. Mrs. Hayes, Agent Sarah Chun stepped forward, badge extended. We need to discuss some irregularities in your real estate transactions. Olivia's mask cracked. You can't. I have rights. Yes, Alex emerged from the shadows. Rights. Let's talk about those. The children are Theodore's, she spat. You have no claim. Actually, Carmen appeared, legal documents in hand. Mr. Hayes has every claim. Attempted kidnapping, conspiracy to commit medical fraud, wire fraud, money laundering. Would you like me to continue? Olivia's eyes darted around, seeking escape. You don't understand. We had a plan. I understand perfectly. Alex's voice cut like steel. You and Theodore planned this for 15 years. Using my children as pawns, manipulating them, preparing to destroy their world. But you forgot something crucial. What's that? I build things for a living. That means I know exactly how to tear them down. He nodded to Agent Chin. She's all yours. As the agents led Olivia away, Michael approached with his phone. Theodore just got the FBI visit. He's demanding his lawyer. Let him. Alex checked his watch. Time to talk to the children. Upstairs, Sophia and Lucas sat in their pajamas, confused and frightened. Alex had arranged for Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a child psychologist specializing in family trauma, to be present. Dad. Lucas's voice trembled. What's happening? Why did Mom leave with those people? Alex sat between his children, drawing them close. I need to tell you something important. It's going to be hard to hear, but I promise you both. Nothing will ever change how much I love you. For the next hour, with Dr. Mitchell's guidance, Alex explained everything. The fertility fraud, Theodore's manipulation, Olivia's complicity. He showed them carefully selected evidence, enough to prove the truth without traumatizing them further. So, you're not our real father? Sophia's voice was small. Biology doesn't make a father, Alex said firmly. Love does. Choice does. I chose you both before you were born, and I choose you every day since. But Mom and Uncle Theo used you as pawns in their game. That ends today. Dr. Mitchell leaned forward. Your feelings are valid. All of them. Anger, confusion, betrayal. It's okay to feel everything you're feeling. Lucas buried his face in Alex's shirt. I don't want to see them again. You won't have to, Alex promised. Not until you're ready, if ever. By noon, the media explosion was nuclear. Theodore's fertility fraud dominated every news channel. Former patients came forward, each story more damaging than the last. His real estate empire crumbled as clients fled and partners distanced themselves. Carmen called with updates. FBI found everything. Offshore accounts, fraudulent property deals, evidence of blackmail. Theodore's looking at 20 years minimum. And Olivia? Singing like a canary. Apparently, she kept records of everything, insurance against Theodore betraying her. She's offering to testify against him in exchange for a deal. Alex's laugh was cold. Let her. They can destroy each other. Dr. Chase's news came next. Medical board's emergency session voted to permanently bar Theodore from ever working in healthcare again. They're recommending criminal charges for the fertility fraud. Throughout the day, Alex's team orchestrated a complete dismantling of Theodore and Olivia's world. Asset frozen, escape route blocked, ally turned against them. The empire they'd built on lies collapsed like a house of cards. That evening, Alex sat with his children, watching Theodore's perp walk on the news. The once polished doctor looked haggard, his designer suit wrinkled, his confident smile replaced by desperate fear. Dad, Sophia spoke quietly. Are we still a family? Alex pulled both children closer. We've always been a family. Not because of blood or DNA, but because of love. They tried to steal that from us. Instead, they lost everything. Lucas looked up. What happens now? Now we rebuild. Together. Stronger than before. Chapter 2. Truth and Consequences. The Portland courthouse buzzed with tension. Reporters crowded the steps, cameras ready as Alex Hayes strode through the media gauntlet. Inside, the custody hearing would determine his children's future. Mr. Hayes. Judge Eleanor Crawford's voice cut through the packed courtroom. Are you prepared to present your evidence? Alex nodded to Carmen, who approached the bench with 3 thick binders. Your Honor, we've documented a systematic campaign of parental alienation and psychological manipulation spanning 15 years. Theodore's lawyer, a sharp-faced woman in an expensive suit, stood. Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Hayes lacks standing. Genetic testing proves criminal fertility fraud, Carmen interrupted, which your client perpetrated while serving as a medical professional. We have evidence of a premeditated conspiracy. Judge Crawford leafed through the first binder. Proceed, Ms. Rodriguez. For the next 2 hours, Carmen presented their case. Recordings of Olivia coaching the children to reject Alex. Emails planning their eventual separation. Documentation of Theodore's systematic grooming through expensive gifts and orchestrated meetings. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the child psychologist, testified next. The children have been subjected to calculated manipulation. Their relationship with Mr. Hayes was deliberately undermined while creating an idealized image of Mr. Bennett. Classic parental alienation tactics. Theodore sat at the defense table, his usual polish cracking under pressure. His eyes kept darting to the federal agents stationed at the courtroom doors, a reminder of the criminal charges waiting. Olivia testified from custody, her designer clothes replaced by prison orange. It was Theodore's idea, she insisted, avoiding Alex's gaze. He planned everything. The fertility fraud, the long-term manipulation, all of it. Yet you participated, Carmen pressed. For 15 years, you helped identify potential victims through your real estate work. How many families did you help destroy, Mrs. Hayes? I was protecting my children. You were protecting yourself, Alex's voice carried across the courtroom. The children were just pawns in your game. The evidence mounted. Financial records showing Theodore's payments to other families who discovered the truth, documentation of threatened lawsuits against those who resisted, proof of systematic fraud across multiple states. Your Honor, Carmen concluded, we ask for sole custody to be granted to Alexander Hayes, with no visitation rights for either Olivia Hayes or Theodore Bennett pending criminal proceedings. Judge Crawford's decision was unequivocal. The evidence shows a disturbing pattern of manipulation and abuse. Custody is awarded to Alexander Hayes. Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Bennett are barred from any contact with the minor children. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. Mr. Hayes, how do you respond to Theodore Bennett's claims of paternal rights? Alex faced the cameras, his voice steady. Biology doesn't make a father. Love does. Sacrifice does. Those children have been my world for 15 years. No fraud, no scheme, no betrayal changes that. What about the other families affected by the fertility fraud? They'll get justice. Every family Theodore and Olivia destroyed will have support, legal aid, everything they need to rebuild. Back home, Sophia and Lucas waited with Michael. The past weeks had been brutal. Therapy sessions, police interviews, watching their mother and Uncle Theo exposed as frauds on national news. Dad. Lucas ran to him. Did we win? Alex hugged both children tight. We won. You're staying with me. They can't hurt us anymore. Sophia's eyes were red from crying. I heard what you said on TV. About biology not making a father. I meant every word. I'm sorry, she whispered, for all the times I chose Uncle Theo over you. For believing their lies. You have nothing to apologize for. Alex wiped her tears. You were victims of their manipulation. But you're strong, both of you. We'll get through this together. That night, as the children slept, Alex reviewed the mounting evidence against Theodore's real estate empire. The FBI had frozen accounts across 3 countries, uncovering a network of fraud that dwarfed the fertility scam. Carmen called with updates. Theodore's former partners are turning on him. Everyone he blackmailed, everyone he threatened. They're all talking now. His lawyers pushing for a plea deal. And Olivia? Testifying against him in exchange for reduced sentences. She's provided evidence of other fertility fraud victims, details of the financial scams, everything. Make sure the victims get first claim on any seized assets, Alex instructed. These families deserve restitution. The media coverage was relentless. Theodore's face dominated every news channel as more victims came forward. His carefully constructed image as a successful real estate mogul crumbled, revealing the predator beneath. FBI Special Agent Chen presented their findings at a press conference. Mr. Bennett's organization didn't just commit fertility fraud. They used that fraud to identify vulnerable families, then exploited them through a sophisticated real estate scheme. Victims were forced to sell their homes at losses, while Mr. Bennett's company profited from the distressed sales. The investigation revealed Theodore's pattern. Use the fertility fraud to gain control, then systematically strip families of their assets. Those who threatened to expose him found themselves buried in legal threats or forced into silence through financial pressure. But Alex Hayes had proved immune to pressure. Instead of breaking under Theodore's scheme, he'd gathered evidence, built his case, and struck back with devastating precision. Chapter 3. Rebuilding. 1 year later, Alex stood at the podium in the newly opened Hayes Family Support Center. The modern building, funded by seized assets from Theodore's criminal empire, would serve families affected by fertility fraud across the country. When I discovered my family had been targeted, he addressed the gathered crowd. I had 2 choices. I could let the betrayal destroy us, or I could turn that pain into purpose. This center exists because hundreds of families made the same choice: to rebuild, to support each other, to transform trauma into triumph. The audience included dozens of families with stories similar to his own. Parents who discovered their children's true paternity, couples still wrestling with Theodore's betrayal, children trying to understand their complex identities. Dr. Victoria Chase had assembled a team of medical ethicists, fertility specialists, and counselors. We're not just helping current victims, she explained to a reporter. We're working to prevent future fraud through improved protocols and oversight. Sophia and Lucas sat in the front row, their faces proud. The past year hadn't been easy. Therapy sessions, adjusting to life without Olivia, processing the truth about their biology. But they'd emerged stronger, closer as a family. After the ceremony, Alex found Sophia in his office, studying the wall of photos, their family through the years. "These are real," she said quietly. "Smile, moment. They tried to make me believe it was all fake, but looking at these, nothing they did changes who we are," Alex assured her. "Or who you are. I know that now." She hugged him tight. Some of the other kids at the support group, they're really struggling. Their families fell apart when the truth came out. That's why we're here. To show them there's another way. Lucas bounded in, excited about the center's youth program. "Dad, can I help with the younger kids group? I want to tell them what helped me get through everything." Alex's chest swelled with pride. His children had chosen not just to survive their trauma, but to help others navigate similar pain. Michael joined them, carrying fresh files. 3 more families came forward this morning. They saw the center's opening on the news. "Get them whatever support they need," Alex instructed. "And contact Carmen. Make sure they're added to the civil suit." Theodore's criminal trial had ended in a 20-year sentence. Olivia, despite her cooperation, received 10 years. Their empire of lies had crumbled completely, leaving only the families they'd wounded. But from those wounds, something new had grown. The support center buzzed with activity, counseling sessions, legal clinics, support groups, families healing together, refusing to let betrayal define them. "Mr. Hayes?" A young mother approached, clutching paperwork. "I just found out my husband and I used Dr. Bennett's clinic 15 years ago. Our daughters." "You're not alone," Alex assured her. "We'll help you through this. Every step." Later, driving home with his children, Alex caught Sophia's eye in the rearview mirror. She smiled, the same smile she'd had as a baby when he'd first held her. DNA didn't matter. These were his children, and he'd moved heaven and earth to protect them. "Dad," Lucas asked from the back seat, "remember when you said biology doesn't make a family?" "I do. You were right. We're stronger than biology. Stronger than their lies." Alex nodded, his throat tight with emotion. They'd survived Theodore's ultimate betrayal, emerged stronger, and built something new from the ashes, a family bound not by blood, but by choice, truth, and unconditional love. The sun set over Portland as they drove home, 3 survivors who'd refused to be victims. Theodore and Olivia had tried to destroy their family with 15 years of lies. Instead, they'd learned the most important truth of all: real family isn't about genetics. It's about the choice to love, to protect, to rebuild together when the world falls apart. Epilogue. 10 years later. Alex Hayes stood at the window of his expanded offices at Hayes Construction, watching his daughter Sophia direct a team of architects through a project review. At 24, she'd earned her architectural degree and joined the family business, bringing fresh innovation to their developments. Her latest project, a comprehensive renovation of the Hayes Family Support Center, held special meaning for them all. "She's got your eye for detail," Michael said, joining his brother. "And your stubbornness." Alex smiled. "How's Theodore enjoying his new accommodations?" "Maximum security's been rough on him." Michael's grin held no sympathy. His latest appeal was denied yesterday. He'll serve every day of those 20 years. The decade since Theodore Bennett's conviction had brought sweeping changes to fertility medicine. Dr. Victoria Chase now headed the National Fertility Fraud Prevention Task Force, implementing protocols she developed at the Hayes Center. Her work had helped expose 12 more doctors who'd followed Theodore's scheme. "Any word from Olivia?" Michael asked. "Lucas got another letter last week. Straight into the shredder, unopened." Alex's voice hardened. 10 years in prison hasn't changed her. Still trying to manipulate, still claiming everything she did was for love. Olivia Hayes had served her sentence without remorse. Her testimony had helped convict Theodore, but her attempts to minimize her own role had backfired spectacularly. The prosecution had presented evidence of her active participation in identifying and grooming potential victims through her real estate work. The judge had been particularly harsh, noting her willingness to psychologically abuse her own children. Carmen's keeping tabs on her release next month, Michael added. The restraining orders are ironclad. She won't get within 100 yards of the kids. Carmen Rodriguez had parlayed the Bennett case into a crusading career prosecuting medical fraud. Her office wall displayed dozens of photos. Families she'd helped find justice, doctors she'd helped imprison. She and Alex had developed a close friendship, united by their commitment to protecting vulnerable families. Dad. Lucas appeared in the doorway, his college textbooks under his arm. At 22, he was studying psychology, inspired by his own experiences with therapy after the betrayal. Dr. Mitchell's group session starts in an hour. Want to ride over together? Dr. Sarah Mitchell's trauma support program had become a cornerstone of the Hayes Center services. She'd helped countless families navigate the complex emotions of fertility fraud discovery. Lucas had started volunteering with her youth groups during high school, using his own healing journey to help other children understand they weren't alone. Let me grab my files, Alex said. The contractor for the new wing wants to review the plans. The Hayes Family Support Center had expanded dramatically over the decade. What started as a single building now occupied an entire campus, offering everything from legal aid to medical consultations. The newest addition would house a research center dedicated to studying the psychological impact of fertility fraud on families. Patricia Bennett hadn't lived to see Theodore's conviction, but her evidence had proved crucial in bringing him down. Alex had honored her memory by establishing a legal defense fund in her name, helping other whistleblowers expose medical fraud without fear of retaliation. Amanda Martinez, whose attempted warning had helped start Alex's investigation, now coordinated the center's medical ethics training program. Her husband Dante had risen to become Hayes Construction's chief safety officer, implementing industry-leading protocols inspired by that nearly tragic crane accident. Rachel Winters had made detective, specializing in family crimes. She regularly collaborated with the Hayes Center, helping identify and support victims of complex family fraud schemes. Her insight had proved invaluable in preventing other predators from replicating Theodore's methods. The aftermath of Theodore's exposure had revealed the full scope of his operations. 23 families across 4 states had discovered their children were biologically his. Some relationships had crumbled under the weight of betrayal. Others, like the Hayes family, had grown stronger through adversity. Theodore's real estate empire had been dismantled, its assets seized and redistributed to his victims. The investigation had uncovered a sophisticated network of fraud, blackmail, and money laundering. His former partners, eager to avoid prosecution, had turned state's evidence, revealing how he'd used property transactions to control and silence families who discovered his fertility fraud. Madeline, Olivia's sister, had become an unlikely ally in helping other families heal. Her early warning and evidence had earned her immunity from prosecution for her initial silence. She now ran the center's family reconciliation program, helping siblings and extended family members rebuild relationships damaged by fertility fraud conspiracies. Alex's own parents had passed away believing they'd failed him by not seeing through Olivia's deception. But their final years had been filled with pride in how their son had protected and strengthened his family. The Hayes Family Scholarship Fund, established in their memory, helped children of fertility fraud victims attend college. The support group meeting that evening was larger than usual. New families discovered their connection to Theodore's crimes every year, as children grew up and genetic health histories became relevant. Alex watched Lucas lead the youth session, his gentle empathy helping shocked teenagers process life-changing revelations about their biology. Dad. Sophia joined him in the observation room. Remember when you said DNA doesn't make a family? Every day. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. She twisted her engagement ring. Her fiancé was a fellow architect she'd met through the center's reconstruction projects. When James and I have kids, I want them to know this story, to understand that family is built on love and choice, not just genetics. Alex hugged his daughter close. They'll understand. We'll make sure of it. Theodore's scheme had been designed to destroy families, to replace strong foundations with carefully crafted lies. Instead, it had revealed an essential truth. Real family transcends biology. The Hayes family had emerged from his betrayal stronger, more resilient, dedicated to helping others find the same strength. Later that night, Alex reviewed applications for the center's expanding programs. Each folder represented another family choosing to rebuild, to transform trauma into triumph. Theodore and Olivia had spent 15 years weaving their web of deception, never understanding that true family bonds couldn't be broken by mere genetics. A photo on his desk caught his eye. Sophia and Lucas at the center's first opening, their young faces determined despite their pain. Beside it stood a recent image. Both children at Sophia's graduation, their smiles genuine, their bond with Alex stronger than ever. Theodore Bennett would spend another decade in prison, his empire demolished, his name synonymous with betrayal. Olivia would soon emerge into a world where her own children wanted nothing to do with her, her carefully planned future replaced by the consequences of her choices. But the Hayes family had not merely survived. They had transformed their pain into purpose. The center stood as testament to their resilience, a beacon of hope for other families facing similar betrayals. They had built something lasting from the ashes of deception, a legacy of truth, strength, and unwavering love. Alex's phone buzzed, a text from Carmen. 3 new families identified through genetic testing. They need help. Send them in tomorrow, he replied. We'll help them rebuild. Because that's what the Hayes family did now. They built things. Not just buildings or businesses, but bridges between broken people, foundations for healing, frameworks for families to reconstruct their shattered trust. Theodore had tried to steal their family's foundation. Instead, he'd helped them build something unshakable, a testament to the truth that real family isn't born, but chosen, nurtured, and strengthened through even the darkest storms. As Alex prepared to leave for the night, he passed the center's mission statement, carved into the lobby wall. Family is not defined by blood, but by the choice to love, protect, and stand together through all adversity. The words were more than a motto. They were the hard-won wisdom of a family that had faced ultimate betrayal and emerged stronger. Theodore and Olivia had planned for 15 years to destroy what Alex had built. Instead, they'd helped create something indestructible, a family bound not by genetics, but by choice, truth, and unconditional love. The Hayes legacy would continue through Sophia's architectural innovations, Lucas's dedication to healing others, and the thousands of families who found hope and healing through the center's work. It was a legacy built not on perfect appearances or biological connections, but on the enduring power of choosing love over lies, strength over surrender, and family over fraud. The sun set over Portland as Alex drove home, his mind already planning the center's next expansion. Theodore and Olivia had tried to write their own ending to the Hayes family story. Instead, they'd become a cautionary tale, while Alex and his children wrote chapter after chapter of hope, healing, and the triumph of true family bonds over carefully crafted deception. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.